Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wonder of Anime YouTube channel. I'm your host, Lisa, and I'm so excited. After basically taking about a year to finish the X series for my Clamp reread series, we are finally moving on to a new series. And that series is Magic Knight Rayearth. If you guys have been following along, I have been rereading all of Clamp works in chronological orders. Currently at this time, I am skipping like the one-shots that aren't like Clamp characters that we see later on. I'm reading them. I don't know if I'm going to do videos on them. We'll get there. We'll see if that happens. This is going to be a two-part video. I am reading the Magic Knight Rayearth, the omnibuses that were published by Dark Horse. And Magic Knight Rayearth is technically 6 volumes, but it's 2 separate stories. So Magic Knight Rayearth is volumes 1, 2, and 3, Omnibus 1, and that covers the first time the girls go into Sephiroth. And then Clamp released Magic Knight Rayearth 2, which is the sequel to that story that was treated as its own story that has its own volumes 1, 2, and 3. In Dark Horse, that has its own separate omnibus. Now, depending on the publisher, they were published as volumes 1 through 6. Others, it's 1, 2, 3. And then Magic Knight Rayearth 2, it's its own separate series, 1, 2, 3. For the purposes of this video, I'm using the Dark Horse copies. Now, I have the Tokyo Pop volumes 1, 2, and 3 for Magic Knight Rayearth 1. I will say, omnibuses, no matter the series, are so convenient because you have 3 volumes in one, but can be really hard to read when it comes to manga because they're super thick and just isn't always the most like helpful in your hands if you're not reading like this sitting down. The X omnibuses, those were bigger and they were a little bit easier to read, but in general, omnibuses, that's like the one drawback, but I do enjoy omnibuses because I'm somebody that moves room to room when I'm reading. So having to lug a lot of books, I prefer to have least amount as possible. But I did want to say that because that is something that a lot of people mention when they talk about omnibuses in general. I was planning on and am planning on with certain Clamp works reading the manga as well as watching the anime. And Magic Knight Rayearth does have an anime that has 49 episodes, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Magic Knight Rayearth 1 is covered in episodes 1 through 20, and then episodes 21 through 49 cover Magic Knight Rayearth 2. Now, I was going to also watch the anime and do a comparison video, which I plan on doing for other Clamp works that have animes, but I did not do it for this case because I should have watched the anime first and then read the manga. If you guys know me, you follow me on my podcast or the other videos here, I always watch the anime first because I either believe that it adds so much on, and then when you read the manga, you're just appreciating the adaptation. You're like, wow, this is amazing. Or when you're reading the manga, you're like, this is amazing because the anime lacks so much and this gives me more. Magic Knight Rayearth, and I will discuss this as the video goes along, is the perfect shoujo series to become an anime because it does leave a lot that can be interpreted and will have been interpreted in the anime. But for me personally, because I read the manga first, when I was reading the synopsis of the anime, I think I saw the first 2 episodes. But there are characters that are added that weren't in the manga, and then I was just way too focused on the differences. That's just who I am. Now, I know that from reading like the Wikipedia pages that the first part where they cover Magic Knight Rayearth 1 is mostly like really close. They just kind of added like another character. But from episode 21 and on, they completely like just made like they added 2 new characters, major plot points get changed, And obviously this is Clamp's doing. They, in like their little author notes, those are mentioned, and they mention like anime only characters. But for me, it just kind of took me out of it, and I made the decision to not watch the anime. But I wish I would have watched the anime first, because it kind of was enjoyable. I just can't turn off my brain. And it was also probably way too soon. Like, I legit finished reading it and then tried to jump into the anime like that same day. Maybe I should have given it like a month or two. So about Magic Knight Rayearth 1. So Magic Knight Rayearth was published in Nakayoshi magazine from November 1999 to 1994. It was later then published in books by Kodansha. Clamp, they were asked by the magazine, Nakayoshi, their editor-in-chief, to create a series for the magazine, and he wanted a story that could be for elementary aged kids and up. Clamp decided to combine robots and RPG elements into the story. And then Nanase Okawa, she states in an interview that because Sailor Moon was so popular and successful, that's the reason they were able to pitch a series like this. In Magic Knight Rayearth, it stars Hikaru, Fu, and Umi. They're 3 regular 14-year-old girls from different middle schools on a field trip to Tokyo Tower. During the field trip, the 3 girls are mysteriously transported into another world. All 3 of them hear a voice saying, "Help us, Magic Knights." Upon landing on a big fish and eventually solid ground, they meet Guru Clef, who informs them that they were summoned by Princess Emerald to save Sephiroth. They can only return home once they save Sephiroth. Clef informs them that Princess Emerald was imprisoned by Sagato, her high priest. Princess Emerald is the pillar of Sephiroth, meaning that she prays over Sephiroth, a land that is powered by will. Guru Clef is able to give the girls armor and help Hikaru gain her magic before they're off on their journey. First, they go to see Precia, who is basically like a swordsmith, and they collect Mokona to obtain weapons. And they are instructed to collect Escudo in order to custom make their weapons. It is then when the girls go to the fountain of Escudo that they each have a personal battle in order to gain their individual Escudo. Once the girls get their custom weapons, Mokona guides them to separate locations in order to get their missions, aka their robots. Each of the girls fight one of Sagato's hench people in order to prove their worth to the Mechans. Once the girls get their Mechans, they are able to face Sagato. Once they defeat him and kill him, they learn that Emerald had fallen in love with Sagato. He fell in love with her too, and because she fell in love with him, she could not focus solely on Sephiroth and pray for it, causing damage, the monsters, all that was going on in Sephiroth. Her guilt led her to be imprisoned, and she called upon the Magic Knights to kill her because no one in Sephiroth could. Although the girls did not want to kill Emerald, they did due to her pleading. The 3 girls then are returned to Tokyo Tower. It's like no time has passed, and the story ends with them crying and hugging each other. A lot of the themes that appear in Magic Knight Rayearth are themes that Clamp's fans, like, you are going to recognize them if you've been following the series as I have in chronological order. So if you've read X, if you've read RG Veda, these themes are not a surprise to you. And they also do continue in future themes like XXXholic and Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles. It seems up until this point, Clamp has like a loose formula that has followed most of their stories to this point. That being RG Veda, Tokyo Babylon, and X. So one of those themes is legend and prophecy. Within Sephiroth exist legends of the Magic Knight Rayearth. So everybody kind of in the universe has like a loose idea of what that entails. This legend, this prophecy, this empowers the people who are going to go on the journey. The people who are aware of the prophecy, they're going to help the girls in accomplishing what they need. So in Magic Knight Rayearth, the people who are aware of the journey is Clef Guru, Precia, Pharaoh, and of course Zagato and his henchmen as well are loosely aware of what the prophecy, the legend entails. This is something that also happens in X and RG Veda, where not everybody has like the complete story. Not even the main characters know the complete prophecies, the legends. And it's not going to be revealed until the end. A theme in Clamp's manga, and a lot of manga to be honest, is of course the power of friendship. It's one of the most common anime and manga tropes that we all love, because who doesn't love friendship? Karu, Fu, and Umi, they're all from different middle schools. Like, they instantly bond, and then all three of them really develop like a deep friendship, and the power of that and protecting that friendship, protecting each other, that's what helps them continue along in the journey. We see this in RG Veda and X, where all these strangers come together and instantly they're bonded and they're like, we're gonna be friends and we're gonna do this journey together. Loving yourself and protecting yourself is another form of love for friends and loved ones. This is one of my favorite themes, and it's one theme that to me really stands out in Clamp works that I really haven't seen a lot in other manga and anime that I've consumed. And to me, this always presents itself differently based on the specific works. Specifically in Magic Knight Rayearth, this theme is presented in Fu's battle with herself for her escudo. So when all the girls are battling, the vision that they get when they're trying to get their escudo, Fu sees herself, whereas Umi sees her parents and Hikaru sees her dog at home. For Fu, her battle within herself was that she needed to learn a lesson that in order to, help her friends, help her family, she also needs to care about herself, because the instant that she sees herself as the enemy, she starts fighting herself, and she realizes that the wounds and the hits that she's doing to the other her are affecting her, and she's like doesn't care because she's trying to get the escudo to protect Zafiro and her friends. And she's kind of realizing, like, hold on, like, if I love myself, if these people care about me, they don't want me to hurt myself in the process. I need to love myself and care about myself in order to then be able to help my friends and protect Zafiro. This is something that we see a lot in Clamp's work, but specifically it stands out to me from XXX Holic, where this is a lesson that the main character Watanuki needs to learn as well. And we will get into that further in my X videos. But he also is someone who's quick to be there for friends and at the process hurt himself. And he's like, well, I don't care about me because I need to protect other people. And to me, that is just such a beautiful theme that we don't see often, because a lot of media is skewed to be protecting friends and family, and heroes are supposed to be so selfless and never think about themselves. But Clamp raises the point that if you don't care about yourself, that if you don't put yourself first, you're essentially like saying a big F you to the people that care about you, because you're like, I don't care about me, like and why are those people working so hard to love and care about you if you don't love and care about yourself? This is a minor theme, but it's something that I pick up that I immediately picked up, and that is the weapons absorbs into the hands. So if you recall X, one of the characters, Arashi, her sword was like from within her, and when she was fighting, she would just open the palm of her hand and the sword would come out. Also in X, Fuma and Kotori's mom and Kamui's aunt, they had swords within them that they gave birth to. So this is something that in Magic Knight Rayearth, with the placement of the armors, they each have something like a hand armor where their weapons are stored and come out during battle. First of all, this is just such a dope ass concept for battling, because who wants to be running with swords and bows and things, especially as Magic Knight Rayearth continues and their weapons get bigger. Like, give me this little hand thing and the sword is mysteriously put away. I also think that this kind of is a small piece to a larger picture where, or like a larger metaphor where your power kind of comes from within yourself. And I love that in the moments of battles, these characters pull out their weapon, what they're using to fighting, from whether an X is really themselves or figuratively in Magic Knight Rayearth. Someone having a destiny that someone else tries to free them from. It's not going to be Clamp if there isn't a lover trying to change fate. Clamp is always going to have someone that loves you and they don't like the path that the prophecy has laid out for you. So, of course, in RG Veda, that was Taisha Kutin and King Ashura. In X, that was Konoe and Hinoto, and of course, Fuma and Kamui. And in Magic Knight Rayearth, that's Sagato, the priest, who wanted to free Princess Emerald. Having to choose personal love over the fate of the world. Again, Clamp is going to give you these hard ass scenarios. They're going to put you between a rock and a hard place where you have a duty to protect the world, but you want to be selfish and you want to be in love and you want to protect your lover, friends, or family. In Magic Knight Rayearth, Princess Emerald is the person who is in that rock and the hard place because she is the person who prays over Sephiroth and protects Sephiroth, but she falls in love with Sagato, and she knew that it would cause harm to Sephiroth falling in love with Sagato. And in the end, she chooses her own death in order to like be with him because he died, and then frees herself from Sephiroth. And essentially, the way she puts it, she's freeing Sephiroth from her because she was failing them because she had fallen in love. Of course, Clamp's gonna do what they're gonna do. These are just the most, like, the themes that I immediately identified. I'm sure if I revisit Magic Knight Rayearth, I will find upon other themes, maybe smaller nods to other series. But I think that's one of my favorite parts as I keep reading the series in chronological order, is seeing where they pull something from RG Veda, from X, from Tokyo Babylon, and seeing that revisited here. And then also seeing something here that I know is going to later present itself in like Cardcaptor Sakura or Chobits and things like that. Like, that's always just been one of my favorite parts about Clamp. My personal feelings on Magic Knight Rayearth, I think that when I was in high school, I possibly read like scans of the story, and then just throughout trying to collect it, like I knew the synopsis and had read like the Wikipedia and things like that. But I will say this is the first time where like I read the story, absorbed the story, and I loved Magic Knight Rayearth. Like, I'm biased because I'm a Clamp fan, but there are Clamp stories that you'll see later on that I enjoy, but I don't love, like, they're not my favorite. I don't love them. They're just good because they're Clamp. But Magic Knight Rayearth is one that I was surprised that I loved it as much as I did, because I, in my mind, was just going to be one of those series where I was like, it's good because it's Clamp, but nothing, it's not an XXX-holic for me. It's not a Savasta Reservoir Chronicles for me. But I was really, really surprised how much I enjoyed Magic Knight Rayearth. I think the primary reason that I enjoyed it as much as I did was because of the story centering Hikaru, Fu, and Umi. Now, Magic Knight Rayearth 1 definitely has little like nods to romance, specifically for Fu and a little bit for Umi, but that's very, very, very minor. And then you have Emerald and Zagato, but girl, they an afterthought. The real story is the friendship element. And I am someone, like, I'm a girl's girl. I'm a friend's friend. I love friendship. I will almost always choose a story about friendship over a story about romance, because as much as I love romance, I think friendships in general just always get pushed to the side, and it's never like the main component. It always is like usually like boy and a girl and like their love story. And this is one where the girls aren't motivated by love. They're not motivated by love interest. They are motivated by themselves and their friendships. And these girls just get transported from Tokyo. They're literally on a field trip, don't know each other, immediately start bonding because they're all from different schools. So as soon as they arrive in Sephiroth, they're all in this new land, completely, different personalities, not knowing what anything is, and then just immediately bond together. Umi's making jokes. Hikaru is like, yes, we're going to save Sephiroth and we're going to do this. And, Fu is very like level-headed, but she's very like cute and adorable. And it's just like, these girls don't know each other, and instantly they bond and get together and do the things that they need to do in order to save Sephiroth. It is just like so refreshing to have a story where the main focus is friendships. And throughout the journey, when they're getting the escudo, when they are getting their mansions, when they are fighting Zagato for Princess Emerald, like, they continuously put each other's friendship first and say that they're doing this for each other. And I just love that. And I think I wasn't aware of how friendship heavy the story was. So reading this just made my heart smile and was just made it so much more enjoyable for me, because I love friendship. These girls just really, really having each other's back despite not knowing each other, and just showing how, like, quickly, like, you could bond with people where there is no ulterior motive. Like, they just wanted to help Sephiroth, and in that process they bonded and now have this, like, lifelong connection. Along with friendship aspect, I think another part that I really enjoyed about Magic Knight Rayearth is where Karu is the lead in the group. She kind of gets, like, the most focus, but Umi and Fu definitely get really big chunk of focus as well. And their stories are fulfilling, and they're not just like, oh, a little side filler for the little side characters. Like, they're all as important. We just kind of know, like, Karu, she has the biggest part, you know, like, hers is the biggest role. But Umi and Fu's stories, their development is not at all sacrificed for Hikaru, where you see a lot of stories where there's one main person, even if it's a trio or even where it's a group, like, the other people don't get as satisfying things happen to them in the story. And that didn't happen at all. In Magic Knight Rayearth, they each have their own battle with the escudo. They each have their own battle in order to get their mansions and prove to the mansion that they're worth it. And that is just like, yes, like, the more stories need this, where all the other people who play roles, like, also deserve shine and deserve good stories too. And I just love the way that Clamp does this. And this isn't the only story that they did it for, but obviously I was just so taken back that Fu and Umi just get really satisfying stories in this as well. In reading Magic Knight Rayearth, one thing that I found is that I can see why this worked so well as an anime. And again, I'm very sad that I read the manga before I saw the anime, because I can see why characters were added. I can see why later on, and I'll touch more about this in the second part of this video for Magic Knight Rayearth 2, where I can see where certain plot points were added to expand on the universe. And when I was reading it, I could see, like, in my head, like, yeah, I can see them adding a little bit of something onto this in order to make it an anime. And like I said, it just makes me so sad that I read the manga first, because I think I really would have enjoyed the anime. Overall, I really, really enjoyed Magic Knight Rayearth. I was very surprised and happy that I enjoyed it as much as I did. Like I said, that's really, really due to the friendship aspect of this story. And of course, there are, you know, cute little romantic moments, specifically with Fu and Pharaoh, who is somebody that they meet when they're trying to get to the escudo, and he escorts them to the fountain area where it is. And it was just so cute, but it was just like the perfect little tidbit where it just a little bit give you a little taste, but doesn't take away from the point that the story is not a romantic story and that it's focused on friendship and these girls being awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me on part 1 of my Magic Knight Rayearth videos. The next video will definitely be covering Magic Knight Rayearth 2 and what's going on over there, what happens after these events, because they can't just end the story like this with all of them crying in Tokyo Tower, but we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for joining me on this video, and I cannot wait to see you back here for part 2.